Hey, everyone. Lauren Sisler here with AL.com. We are cruising into week 5 of the SEC college football season. We got Auburn at Ole Miss, 11 a.m. kickoff on SEC Network with Cole Kublick, and we're going head-to-head. What's up, Cole Kublick? Obviously, you got this game this weekend, so you'll be getting down with some meetings with the coaches and obviously getting some inside scoop on how things are going on the Plains as well as at Ole Miss. And Auburn coming off a 30-22 loss. Ole Miss, they're trying to bounce back from a 33-21 loss to Arkansas last week. We'll start on the offensive side of the football for Auburn. Bo Nix, 24-47, 272 yards, a touchdown, 3 interceptions, accuracy and consistency a concern. Offensive line needs work. Just a lot of things kind of happening, moving parts on the offensive side of football for Auburn. What are some key issues, and how do you, as an Auburn football team, go about fixing them?
Well, I think first and foremost, you just need to be on the same page as far as your chemistry, your continuity. It's a tough ask for this team, Lauren, because they're one of the few teams in the SEC that potentially, depending on who's on the field first, might not have a senior starter. I mean, if Eli Stove's not on the field, the offense doesn't have a senior starter. With KJ Britt out, depending on if Jordan Peters was in for nickel or dime early, they might not have a senior starter with some of the D linemen that are banged up if they're not ready to go. So it's still a younger football team. And I think there needs to be a little bit of soul searching just to get everybody on the same page. Sort of have everybody pushing in the same direction. And then offensively, I thought you said it best with consistency. You got to find a way to, in my opinion, stay committed to the run game. The offensive lines, they're going to have to continue to grow. They're not going to be great anytime soon, but you can work around it and you can work with what you have if you involve some of the other guys like an Anthony Schwartz, a Seth Williams down the field, and you utilize the legs of a Bo Nix. As far as Bo Nix is concerned, you could talk about accuracy, turnovers, all of that. For me, what's most important with Bo Nix moving forward as the Auburn quarterback is having a true understanding of the requirements of his position and what it takes and what being a quarterback on a college football team asks of you. And that's not just trying hard. That's not running around fast. That's not giving it your whole effort. It's not throwing the ball hard. It's a full understanding of clock management, situational football, field position, how many attempts you might have left at the end zone, when to try and throw the football away and not get your team penalized. All of those things have to be found and have to be understood. This is just going to come down to soul searching. This is going to come down to forcing yourself to get out of bad habits, and the coaching staff doing everything that they can to put a game plan in front of him that allows him to accomplish some of those things that we discussed.
Yeah, and I think you make a great point. One of the great examples we saw in that South Carolina game, you just look at the sideline, you see Bo Nix and Seth Williams chirping at each other. There's some frustration. You can see the frustration with him and his teammates. You can kind of see it on his face, some of the poise. And again, a little too late. Obviously, the final drive they put together to try to get within distance to score, get a 2-point conversion didn't work well. Clock management, a big one on that. You know, he was just really pushing to make big plays. And so that's, again, where the decision-making comes in. You know, are you chewing up clock? Are you making the right decisions? There's a lot of things that go into, as you said, being a good quarterback. And I think you make some really relevant points there. So in essence, how does that play out against this Ole Miss Landshark defense that has not been the greatest defense that we've seen? Obviously, it was a huge track meet against Alabama a couple weeks ago. They, lose one to Arkansas. Just, how does the defense match up with this Auburn offense?
Well, I think if you're looking for a game to get back on track, if you're looking for a game to sort of build some confidence, going against the Ole Miss defense should be that. They're allowing almost 600 yards per game. It has not been a group that's gotten a ton of stops, only 2 interceptions on the season. So you should be able to find some consistency. There should be ways for you to get back on track against this group. The problem is there's a good chance they score a lot of points as well. So it's not just going to be getting back on track. You're going to have to put up points to win this football game, because on a bad day, Ole Miss could put up 28-34, 35 points. And all of a sudden, you might find yourself in a position late like you did against South Carolina, chasing points, having to get a couple scores just to stay in or maybe win the game. It's a group that I think physically Auburn matches up well with, and I haven't been able to say that about many of the defenses that Auburn has played this year. But the run game with Tank Bigsby and that offensive line, in my opinion, should get going early. How committed will the coaches be to it? And how ready are the players to show up and actually execute it? Those are the two big questions for me.
Yeah, so on the defensive side of the football, obviously you've got a great quarterback in Matt Corral. You know, his production has been pretty good, averaging 330, almost 336 yards per game. And on the other side of it, the Tigers really haven't gotten a lot of pressure. 7 sacks on the season, 10 quarterback hurries. So getting pressure on Matt Corral will be critical. Obviously, they've got a dynamic duo in running backs. Jonathan Mingo, also a great receiver. You know, they've got guys that can spread the ball out. So defensively, Auburn's really going to have to step up and do its job, get pressure on Matt Corral. How do you see that matchup on that side of the football and this defense, and maybe another opportunity for them to kind of to show what they're capable of, even though they're young and, like you said, banged up a little bit?
I think the first thing that you look at, you talk about getting pressure, and it's difficult against this offense because a lot of times the ball's out really quick. So you don't even have a chance to generate a pass rush or go through your pass rush moves or be able to get to the quarterback because Matt Corral is going to find a way to get it out to one of his playmakers in space. I think keeping things in front of you, tackling well, will be important in this football game. But again, it's kind of similar to what I said about the Auburn offense. I think this defense matches up pretty well. It's a very athletic defense. You look at Owen Popo, you look at Jacoby McClain, guys who run like DBs, who can play out in space, are going to be more beneficial against this offense than some of the other offenses that Auburn is going to play against. I think you have a lot of interchangeable parts in the secondary as well. Guys who can come play close to the line of scrimmage, guys who can move from corner to safety, safety to nickel, vice versa. So that gives Kevin Steele a little bit of an advantage. My concern foremost for Auburn in this game defensively would be depth, especially depth up front. Big Cat, Newkirk, those guys have been banged up and obviously not going to have KJ Britt. So how deep are you along the front seven against a team that's going to go extremely fast and against a team that people don't really want to focus on this, but actually does run the ball and run the ball well? This Ole Miss offensive line, especially center left, is playing pretty good football. And they're going to put you in conflicts with RPOs and play actions and fakes. Visually, this Auburn defense has to have maybe their best game of the season. I think the Auburn defense has to play well with their eyes first, but they're going to need some depth to go against this offense because they will go fast. They're going to put up 80 plays, and it's going to be tough to stop. But I do think athletically, Auburn is built well to at least match up with them on the field.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this matchup. I've got Auburn winning this one, edging them out 30-27. I know you can't make a prediction. You'll be on the sidelines of this one. 11 o'clock kickoff, Auburn at Ole Miss on SEC Network. Cole, we appreciate the insight as always, and safe travels, and we'll catch you on the other side.
It's guaranteed that I die legend. Yeah, son, God, homie, I'm reverend. Preach, just protecting my investment. Ask about me, integrity's not a question. Straight up, all the way up.